Last week I told you about Prime Minister Trudeau's fancy fundraiser with Chinese billionaires and Communist Party officials. It resulted in one Chinese philanthropist's $1 million donation to the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation. Now, for most people who are paying attention to the most recent US presidential campaign, this seemed awfully similar to the pay-for-play operation the Clinton Foundation and Hillary were running during her time in the State Department. One, I will remind you, resulted in no fewer than 4 FBI field offices opening, and to this day continuing a criminal investigation. Well, since last week, Justin has tried to distance himself from his family's foundation, saying he personally no longer has ties to the foundation. But interestingly enough, former Conservative MP Chuck Strahl, who was on the board of the Trudeau Foundation, quit last week after this donation came to light. But the Liberals even tried using Mr. Strahl's membership on the board as a way to excuse and explain the foundation's independence, with Liberal House leader Dominic LeBlanc even challenging Tom Mulcair to, quote, ask Chuck Strahl about the foundation's independence. While Mr. Strahl quit, as I mentioned, was even quoted as saying the foundation tried to use him as a foil or a cover for what they are doing. Now, if you're a Canadian, and particularly a Western Canadian, you will know that there is no other organization in the world that has tried to meddle, disrupt, and even downright interfere with Canadian sovereignty and the Canadian economy than the San Francisco-based and George Soros-funded Tides Foundation and their Canadian affiliate Tides Canada. And remember, it was Mayor Gregor Robertson who spent 3 years as Tides Canada's director. The Tides Foundation or Tides Canada have funded a litany of activist groups familiar to Canadians, like the Dogwood Initiative, Environmental Defence, the Wilderness Committee, Ecology Ottawa, the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, and the Council of Canadians. I'm sure you by now know where I'm going with this. Yes, Tides Canada has indeed donated to the Trudeau Family Foundation as well. According to a 2013 IRS tax filing, Tides Canada donated just over $48,000 to the Trudeau Foundation. Unfortunately, the same IRS form for 2014 refuses to list the names and addresses of international recipients of donations. But trust me, there was still plenty of cash flowing into Canada. So I tried looking at the CRA documents instead, and while they are less detailed and do not show a list of individual donations to the Trudeau Family Foundation, there is a concerning trend in foreign donations to the Trudeau Foundation. In 2014, around $53,000 was reported coming in from outside of Canada. And then in 2015, the year Trudeau and the Liberals came to power, that number jumps all the way up to $428,000. Now, if that doesn't strike you as concerning or an attempt at influence buying, I'm not sure what else such a 9-fold increase of foreign donations could mean. It's hard to prove how much, if any, of these donations came from Tides. But the point stands. Are foreign donations to the Trudeau Foundation influencing the Liberal government's decisions? Tides claims the 2013 donation was made to a non-partisan Trudeau Foundation. But how did the separation of foundation and politics work for the Clintons? The forces of globalism likely recognize that the Trudeau Family Foundation is a vessel for their movement and funding political influence. I think Trudeau sees himself as some kind of globalist counterbalance to Donald Trump. So I suspect when George Soros or any other globalist looks for a globalist leader to represent their interests and the interests of the Tides Foundation or big environmentalism or whatever, Justin Trudeau and his Liberal Party will become their last hope. For the Rebel.media, I'm Christopher Wilson. Thank you so much for watching. I have 2 things I'd love for you to do. First, if you haven't already, click subscribe on our YouTube channel. Second, if you're like me and sick and tired of Tides Foundation meddling, interfering in economic activity and our sovereignty, well, go check out my petition at tidesout.ca and sign it.